The opportunity is chicken.
The opportunity is sunflowers.
The opportunity is honey.
The opportunity is community.
The opportunity is youth.
The opportunity is distribution.
The opportunity is Africa Eats.
How are the problems of hunger and poverty going to get solved in Africa? The actual solutions to these problems, they're sitting in the minds and they're sitting in the actions of the people on the ground, the native Africans who have for-profit solutions that once up to scale will actually solve these problems. My name's Looney. I'm the founder of Fledge, a global network of impact accelerators, and I'm the co-founder of Africa Eats, a unique investment holding company that's filling the missing middle, filling the pioneer gap for dozens of native-run African companies building out the food supply chain across the continent. These are companies that aggregate from smallholder farmers, do a little bit of processing, and then distribute to retailers. We do this with produce and rice and beans and fish and chicken and honey. And when we say food supply chain, we mean the whole gamut. We have one company that sells seeds and inputs, and we have a few companies that take ag waste and turn them into cooking fuel. And one of those companies also makes cooking stoves. It happens to be the second largest cook stove manufacturer in the whole continent. It's called Obama Stove. It's currently based in Ethiopia, and with our help, about to expand into Kenya. Now, these companies are generally pretty small. At least when we met them, they were very small. We've known some of these companies for 6 years. What they have in common is they all came to a Fledge Accelerator program somewhere in the world sometime in the last 6 years. Now, these are 27 independent companies. We own a minority stake in each of them. And that's our goal, is to keep a minority stake because the founders are in place. We want to support them, not replace them. But what we do is look at their aggregate revenue. And those aggregate revenues were all of $600,000 back in 2014. And in 2020, they grew to $9.8 million. What's that compounded growth? It's 61% between 2014 and the middle of this year. That's pretty good. It's not venture scale. It would not excite a California venture capitalist, but it should excite you. It should excite you because that means that they're more than doubling every 2 years. And when we look forward and ask the question, how long until these 27 companies are worth $100 million in aggregate revenues? The answer in our predictive model says 2026. These companies are growing fast. They're almost all profitable. We only had 3 unprofitable companies last year, and most of that was pandemic related. And so these companies are going to grow. The only question is, how fast do they grow? So rather than me just telling you about these companies, let them speak for themselves.
It is called post-harvest losses. It is more than $345 billion a year, more than the food aid provided to sub-Saharan Africa for the last decade.
African women are enterprising, but African women lack economic empowerment.
The trouble is, there's been overfishing, and today the little fish is all finished.
Geoffrey introduced her to Agro Supply, and she started saving. As a widow, she has a permanent house.
We started talking, and he told me he has been standing there for 8 hours without selling a single jar of his honey.
Handcrafted, that is made by the locals, designed, built, sold for local consumption.
Mother Nature is under attack by the very people she feeds every day. 90% of Uganda's energy comes from biomass. Only 1% from electricity. Uganda is the size of Britain. But it consumes more charcoal than the whole of the European Union countries combined. My name is Geoffrey Yoga. I'm fixing this problem.
We process, we brand, and we supply this high-quality cooking oil half of the price of our competitors. To date, we are working with 317 farmers, out of which 90% of these farmers are women. We've been able to increase the revenue of our farmers from just under €2 per day to €7 per day. And €7 is the middle income class in Tanzania. We have done all this, and as a company, we've gained revenue. We've been able to grow as a company from €100,000 in year 1 to €300,000 in year 2. And we are on track to triple this amount by 2020.
That video was shot back in the middle of 2018, and Brigitte was standing in Italy as part of the Nature Accelerator. And what's happened since? Well, what she said on stage came true. The company did grow to $1.1 million of revenue in 2019. And I want to make it clear, they did that on just $60,000 of investment. And then Africa Eats did another $75,000 last year. The company this year should do about $1.5 million, maybe $1.6, $1.7 million in business. The plan is to invest another $75,000, $80,000, $90,000 early next year and double the size of the business again. Now, these companies need more than just money. They need more than just money and advice. As we dig in, as we talk to these companies month after month after month, what we discover is that there are big gaps in Africa that get in the way of growing a business. Things we take for granted in Europe and in North America. And so what Africa Eats does beyond just invest in these companies is to provide services to fill in those gaps. First and foremost, their accounting is not quite up to standards that you're used to seeing. And so it's actually 26 companies in food and ag and built accounting in Ghana. They basically built QuickBooks in Ghana with Ghana programmers. They built the whole thing for like $17,000. Now it's working really well, and we're just telling everybody to go use built accounting. It's awesome. Second thing we found is that electricity is unreliable, and it got worse once the pandemic hit. Everybody started asking us for money for generators, and we stepped back and say, wait, we have a climate to worry about. Let's not just burn diesel fuel. Plus, diesel electricity is really expensive. So we priced out solar, and it comes out to be cheaper. The next service seems really simple. It's just truck leases. And we were really surprised that it's either impossible or just really expensive to lease a truck or to get a loan for a truck in Africa. Now they have a truck they control and a driver they control, and that's a lot cheaper than hiring the guy with the truck, which is the usual solution. And the last one is insurance. And not just insurance on the companies, which they usually don't have. They're running without insurance, which is a problem. I said we aggregate the food from smallholder farmers. Yeah, it's like 50,000 farmers that we work with. 500 of them are insured and the rest are not. And it's too expensive for them to go and buy individual insurance. And so we are building out a mutual insurance pool. We'll figure this out and get it launched in early 2022. And yeah, and I said they need services, but they also need capital. And when we look at their current total needs, it runs between 10 and $20 million. And 10 million, we could deploy that in 6 months. So we're out raising $10 million. An ideal mix is 60-40 debt and equity, just because we have a whole lot of trucks to buy, a whole lot of solar panels to buy, and then $4 million to do the big growth projects, to build more buildings, to get more infrastructure and more equipment, to do the sales and marketing, the things you don't want to do with debt. And then what we look for in the future is to take this entity public. So our goal is to own these companies forever. We are not venture capitalists. We're not fattening them up and hoping for an acquisition. We are just helping them grow as fast as reasonably possible. And then along the way, we're going to take Africa Eats public, the holding company public. And that way our equity investors can leave whenever they want. So our first IPO is scheduled for Africa as soon as we can, hopefully next year, maybe early 2023. When we get to $100 million in value, we'll take this public in London. That's where African companies go public. And that's it. We're just solving the little problems of hunger and poverty, and we're doing it with investment capital and services. Thank you.